Guys, welcome back to Precision Rifle Network, part 2 of how to accurize an AR-15. So I'm going to link to the first video. If you haven't watched that, you might just want to go check that out, get caught up, right? So this started out life as a standard CMMG, just run-of-the-mill 16-inch, Mark IV, nothing special. And the parts that I changed on it to accurize it last time was trigger and suppressor and magnified optic. Not this one. I actually had a red dot with a 3x flip to the side magnifier. And I was able to demonstrate how mostly we were able to tighten the groups by over half by simply changing out to a much better trigger. So the internals of this are all the same now. But I had a whole bunch of comments with people saying, well, really what you need is a better barrel, better ammo, and a magnified optic. So we're making a part 2. And what I'm going to do is I've got the Athlon Aries. This is their 1 to 10 up here on top, which should be plenty for the distances that we're going to be using a 223 out to. I had a proof 223 Wylde barrel here, and it's 20 inches long. So changed to a proof barrel, so it's going to be an upgraded barrel. And I've got 3 different types of ammo. I'm going to be running a 69 grain federal gold medal match. I'm going to be running a Fiocchi, I believe, that is a 77 grain using the Sierra Match King match grade bullets. And I'm also going to be using some 77 grain Berger OTM tactical. And we're going to put that through here. Again, we're going to get chronograph numbers. Now we're going to get groups at 100 yards, because if we're talking about something that's meant to stretch out just a little bit further, you want to zero at 100, not so much at 36 or 50. And I won't be using the suppressor this time. We put a Landtac Dragon muzzle brake up on the front. So that's the breakdown of the rifle. I painted it all up to match for you guys so she looks good, even the magazine. And now we're going to get out to the range and see what these different types of ammo do through this rifle. Let's go. We're looking at like a 10 to 12 with gusting to maybe 15 coming from like the 10 o'clock, something like that. Now that we've switched out to the 1 to 10 from Athlon, we got to get this thing on paper. So we've just got standard 55 grain. I've bore sighted it and I've dialed to where I think I'm going to be center of paper here. We're going to get the scope taken care of with the 55 grain. Then we're going to switch over and get groups at 100 yards with the match grade ammos. We're going to pick the best one out of those 3 different ones that I've got, and then we'll stretch it out to distance for you guys just to show you the difference it can make. Fortunately I brought the wrench, but we went to an adjustable gas block up here when we changed that out, and I forgot I'm going to have to adjust the gas pressure as we go so that this thing will cycle. So I'm also going to throw in that little tidbit about adjusting the gas block. Basically you close it all the way closed to where the gun's not going to cycle, and then you release pressure and add more gas to flow through until it's cycling properly every time, and then we'll leave it there. Come on, man. Okay guys, so now we're going to go for groups. Now these are going to be off of the orange circles down there. Hopefully through the spotting scope and my cell phone you'll be able to see the shots. You can see a bunch of shots on paper down low. Those were just kind of like trying to tune things up and make sure it was cycling correctly. I think it's cycling now. We're going to go with the 69 grain federal gold medal match first. We're going to go, relatively speaking, top left circle. We'll fire 2 5-shot groups and we'll see what we get. And chronograph data, which I almost forgot. Not the very top row, but the second row down on the left. Here we go. All right, that's first group. We are hitting down on the 3rd row of dots, actually. So we're going to have to make some adjustments. I might end up putting up a clean piece of paper, but this will give us an idea. Now I'm going to go to the the far right side. Not amazing groups, but I do think some of it could be that the wind is so high. My target down there is kind of doing one of these and one of these. So, you know, we're just doing the best we can today, guys. Take a look at the chronograph data on this one. Yeah, not great on the federal gold medal match. The 69 grain federal gold medal match, standard deviation of 35, rounded up. Extreme spread of 126. So unless there was one that was like way off, which I'll go through shot by shot and check, that's not very impressive. All right, we're going to switch to the next one, which is going to be that Fiocchi 77 grain with the Sierra Match Kings. Fiocchi Exacta rifle match with Sierra Match King bullets. This is a 77 grain. And we are going to aim for the top row of dots this time, because these should be higher. We're going to start on the top left, the very top. Let's fire our second group on the right hand side orange dot of that same row. And 5, that's a better group down there. Let's see what our chronograph data had to say. About just as bad with the Fiocchi 77 grain. Standard deviation was 42 with an extreme spread of 132. Let's hope the Berger 77 grain is better than that. Coming right back with a clean target and the Berger. All right, guys, so we're down here at the target, and like I said, all these ones down at the bottom were all just kind of like figuring out cycling issues that I was having early on, and then we put groups in. This row right in here is going to be that 69 grain federal gold medal match. 5 shots in there is pretty decent. 5 shots over here is a little wider, and then we came up here with the Fiocchi Exacta match 77 grain. Put in that group and that group. Those are all roughly 1 MOA at 100 yards. Not horrible. I'm hoping the Berger will do a little better. Here we go. All right, guys, now we've got the Berger 77 grain OTM tactical, which even if it doesn't print a tinier group, what I'm really looking for is that tinier SD and extreme spread. Like when we start stretching these out, we just can't have that level of inconsistency, you know. Maybe on man-sized targets. Second row down, actually it'll be third. Those top 3 constitute the top row, so 1, 2, third row down. Second in from the left. Here we go. Hitting high, up on the next line. All right, man, doesn't seem to like that ammo. Let's come to the far, let's see, it's going up and left, so we're gonna go down to a lower circle. You'll be able to see it through the camera. I'm actually super surprised to see those Berger groups so big. That's, I mean, does not compute. Let's see what the chronograph data says. This doesn't make any sense. Standard deviation of 13 with an extreme spread of 46, which for an AR in this kind of a configuration, absolutely acceptable. I don't understand that, how that is a much better standard deviation and extreme spread and ends up putting almost a double size group from what both of the other ammos was. That just is really weird to me. I'm going to throw the Sierra Match Kings back in there. That's the Fiocchi Exacta match, which all intents and purposes should be the cheapest of these ammos. maybe the proof barrel just likes that one the best, and we're going to fire another group down here just to test that and maybe zero with that ammo versus this. Weird. All right, we are going to go bottom right. I am very surprised that burger, even though we got the consistency that we wanted by SD and ES, those groups are too big for precision work out of that particular rifle. So I switched back to the Fiocchi Exacta Match. 77 grain with Sierra Match Kings. I dropped one down there and I was like, okay, I think that was me, so I fired another one and we brought it right up back up in there to a 1 MOA group, which is what we were getting when we zeroed with that ammo. So I'm pleased with that. I think we'll stick with that ammo and run it. All right, I'm going to reload this with this ammo. That's the Fiocchi Exacta Match. It seems to like that the best. It's shooting about 1 MOA, which is entirely excellent. I mean, it was shooting 1 MOA at 50 yards in the first video with all of our upgrades. Now, by changing the proof barrel and going magnified optic and getting match grade ammo, we're at a true 1 MOA at 100 yards, which is decent. I honestly, I want it to be a little better than that also, and this will sound like an excuse to you guys. The dot inside of this Athlon 1 to 10 is a fairly good sized dot, and it completely covers my 1-inch orange dots down there on target. So I'm doing one of these where I'm like, where's the edge of the orange? Okay, and then I come back up, right? And I'm just trying to completely superimpose this over the top of one of those orange ones, but there's wiggle room around there. So if, again, we went with an even more magnification optic, let's say up to, say, 20 power or even 25, with a tiny floating dot in the center, we might see an accuracy improvement to sub MOA, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Here we go. All right, you guys that have been around the Precision Rifle Network for a while, you know what this is. It's a Kestrel. If you're not familiar with this, you just happened in because you're like, oh, that's a cool looking AR, and I want to see what this video is about. This is a Kestrel. It is a ballistic data computer, basically. It takes in all environmentals. I can put bullet data, rifle data into it, and it spits me out a solution for shooting at longer range. So I'm going to go ahead and input my speed that I got from my Garmin based on this ammunition that I'm shooting right now. Average of 2592, 2593 rounded up. So I go in. All right, and so for 300 yards, which is the target you guys are seeing through the scope right now, it's calling for 1.2 mils up. So turn my dial, 1, 2 clicks, see what we get. And that's saying I need to hold between 3 and 5 tenths left. We'll call it 4 tenths left. Good impact. Good impact. Good impact. We are maybe a tiny bit low, but you know, it's hard to say down there what size that group is through this scope. At any rate, the wind call was good. The elevation was pretty good. We might be able to give it 1 more tenth, which means that our BC of that particular bullet was just a little bit off. That's to be expected at the longer distances. Let's go to 400 yards. Let me reposition the camera for you guys. Okay, so you should be centered up on the 400-yard plate down there. Calling for 2.1. So there's 2.1 and 5 to 6 tenths of wind. It was correct at the 3, so we're going to hold what it says at the 4. Okay, we hit, I believe, either top left or bottom right. Yep, we're low and on the right. So we're going to give that 2 more tenths of elevation, and we're going to need to hold a little more wind. There we go, centered up, roughly. And we're on the left side. And a little bit on the right side. Well, that wind, I mean, you can see it, guys. That wind is just gusting like crazy out there. So now we're good on that. Now we're going to go ahead and go to 500 yards. And we're going to bump up our wind because we realized that was not enough out there. All right, centered up on the 5. Here we go. Well, that wind is whipping. Impact, I can't tell exactly where. Impact, looked low left. Impact. Impact. You guys are probably seeing it. I can't see it through there. Looks like our 600-yard target is actually covered by crops after all. So 500 is all we're going to get today, guys. But let's get back to the man cave and we'll close this out. All right, you guys, back to the man cave from the range. And you saw what we did on paper there. We were able to tighten this up with that Fiocchi Exacta match 77 grain. It uses the Sierra Match King 77 grain bullet. We're able to tighten this up to about a 1 MOA group. I'll put on the screen what the actual average of the groups fired with that ammo and the other ammos as we go along here. But the main difference, the main takeaway here is that from bone stock AR-15 initially, and we were zeroing at that range at 50 yards, the biggest improvement that we saw was in terms of trigger. Now again, 50 yards, we went from a 2-inch group down to a 1-inch group just by changing to the TriggerTech trigger. We got a little bit better accuracy by adding a suppressor out on front and a different optic, but all in all, it basically stayed the same size. And again, guys in the comments were like, you need a magnified optic, something that goes past 3, 4, 5, 6 time, power rating. You need a better barrel and you need match grade ammo. It's like, fine, I have a proof 20-inch match grade barrel here. So I put the proof barrel on, we got it running right, we put a muzzle brake out on front, the Landtac Dragon muzzle brake. We got the Athlon Aries 1 to 10 LPVO in mil up here on top. And we ran 3 different types of factory match grade ammo to see what kind of accuracy we would get. I was extremely surprised and disappointed that the Berger 77 grain, this rifle did not like that ammo. Consistency wise, the ammo was loaded to better standards than the other two in terms of the standard deviation and extreme spread, but the gun itself did not like that ammunition. The ammunition was just not shooting nearly as well or as tight. And we went back to the Fiocchi Exacta Match 77 grain, which was the one that seemed to be shooting the best, and again shrunk that group right down to about 1 MOA at 100 yards. And then proceeded to stretch out the distance to 300, 400, and 500 yards. Getting good impacts in a pretty crazy wind for here in Missouri. Anytime a wind is 12 to 14 to 15 mile per hour gusts here in Missouri, that's a pretty significant wind. And I was holding about 1.5, 1.6 mils off the left-hand side in order to get good impacts out there at 500 yards with the 223. So significant wind for around here. So the main takeaway, in my opinion, is there are some things that make drastic improvements in accuracy with standard run-of-the-mill AR-15 type rifles. Now, a lot of guys are like, well, there's no difference between my $700, $800 AR-15 and your $2,000, $2,500 AR-15. There might be, right? Better trigger, better barrel, match grade components right out of the gate in that $2,500 AR type rifle. Maybe it already shoots sub MOA with match grade ammo or hand loads or whatever, and no additional upgrades need to be made. Whereas, your run-of-the-mill CMMG or any other kind, like CMMG is not, it's far from bottom of the barrel. Like, it's definitely a mid-grade AR, costs around $1,000, $1,200 right out of the gate. but we were able to tighten groups by changing trigger, by changing muzzle device, by changing magnified optics, switching to a proof barrel, thanks to them for sending it over, by the way, and putting factory match grade ammo through this thing and running it. Like, you can really do a lot with these, and you can see you can shoot, you know, long range in terms of, you know, this kind of a platform and this kind of a round and yada yada. Certainly you can get impacts with this type of a setup at 1,000 yards, but what's the point? Like, it loses so much energy at that distance, right? Like, this kind of a tool is meant for those mid ranges in this configuration. Now we shrink this back down to a 16-inch barrel, or if you have a pistol AR with a shorter barrel on it or something like that, the distance comes in even further, right? You just need the right tool for the right job. So anyway, just wanted to throw this up as a part 2, hopefully satisfying you guys who said you need a better barrel, you need a magnified optic, you need match grade ammo, then we'll see what it does. Well, we saw what it does, tightened it up to 1 MOA group, able to stretch those out to 500-yard impacts on steel today, no problem. So, guys, hit that subscribe button if you would, please. Also, there are links in the description of the video to affiliate links and discount codes. Please check those out. If you end up buying anything through those companies, the channel is helped out by that. Small percentage, but man, it really helps right now because YouTube is, you know, limiting gun tubers constantly demonetizing the videos where no matter what we do. So every little bit helps. Hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, leave a comment, all helps with the algorithms and push it out to a greater audience. Stay tuned for more great videos from Precision Rifle Network.